Today's podcast is sponsored by Fire Facilities Incorporated, expert engineers, designers, and manufacturers of steel training towers, burn rooms, and mobile units that are all made in the USA. So welcome back to 3 Point Firefighter. Today's guest is Mike Torres. Now, Mike's a 23-year veteran of the fire service, and he's been a firefighter paramedic at the Chicago Fire Department for a while on Truck 20, America's Truck. He's also serves as a candidate instructor at the Quinn Fire Academy. He's a captain and training officer for Hometown, Illinois Fire Protection District. His life is dedicated to the preservation, tradition, and continued development of the fire service. I can attest to that. I've had a couple classes with him. He serves as an instructor throughout Illinois, serving for the Elgin Community College, Take the Door training, engine house training, FDIC hot instructor. There's a lot of stuff. Illinois Fire Service Institute and Prairie State College Fire Science Program. He's a member of the Illinois Task Force 1 Urban Search and Rescue Team. In his free time, if he has any free time, he volunteers for local charities and donates instruction time for the Southside Fools. Brother Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. That's definitely a mouthful now I think about it. I really don't pay too much attention to it when somebody said, send me a bio. I just literally cut and paste, and I never really knew how to write one. Matter of fact, my good friend of mine, actually my instructor when I came on, a gentleman named by Duck Raleigh, he's a captain now. He wrote it for me. I didn't know how to write one.
Yeah, you hate to brag on yourself, you know.
You never really pay attention. You know, when you read it, you're like, wow, the things that you have accomplished. You know, I'm trying to be as humble as I possibly can, but wow, that's just a lot. That's a mouthful. It really was.
Well, you know,
when you're hearing it,
you made a huge impression on me, and not just me, my entire fire department. So for those listening, Mikey came down with a group of firefighters to train us, a ladder class through the lock, forcible entry, a whole bunch of stuff. And it made such an impression on everybody in that area. To this day, they talk about you and things that you've taught. And to me, that's pretty powerful that they didn't just like talk about it for that weekend. I mean, how many years has that been? And I'm still hearing about it.
Wow. How long ago was that?
That had to be six or seven years ago.
Yeah. About.
So
wow, that's incredible.
So you actually made a new phrase in our fire department. And that's like, all right, baby birds, I'll feed you. So if you were teaching about ladders, you would ask us questions. Nobody would answer anything. You know how we all kind of shut up when somebody asks us a question. You know, all right, baby birds, I'll feed you.
Yeah, definitely. I'd have to say it's definitely I don't know. I want to be personable as much as I possibly can. I definitely have definitely changed up my repertoire teaching now. You know, teaching all these different classes, groups of people, different philosophy, a different mindset of how to teach and instruct. I don't know it all, never do, never claim to know it all. Everything I learned, I regurgitated and I learned it from somebody else. And all I'm doing is spitting up to you and to everyone else. I never had a creative thought in my life. I've stolen everything. It's a lie if anybody says that, hey, I created how to throw this ladder. I created how to roll that hose. And no, it came from somebody else, somebody much greater than me. I definitely, I contest a lot of my skills to people I looked up to, my mentors, guys I had in the academy that were my instructors. I mean, to this day, a gentleman named George Dowling, he retired as a lieutenant. Believe it or not, he taught me how to tie the halyard, and now that's like my stake hole on what I do. He taught me how to tie that, you know, and I'm like, man, it's the fastest thing I can ever do. And that over a while, that's like a thing of me. And I'm kind of like, I'm built by others, and all I'm doing is just passing on the good word. That's it. Nothing more.
That's a good instructor though, right? Humble, gather other people's stuff and put it together and package it and share the passion and the education. Now you did. That's another thing I probably should say is another thing that you
oh boy.
And we still do. Every time I do a ladder class, somebody does your method of tying the halyard on the run. Do you remember how you taught us?
Oh, I remember how you taught us. I keep it PG. I just show the knot now. If I feel comfortable with you, I'll do that version per se.
Yeah, that was not PG.
That is not PG. That is for sure. And that's okay. You know, it's weird that I was reading some articles and I sit back and I try to remember how I learned, at least in the fire service, or how I learned in general, just as a person, how I learned. I've learned if I can relate certain things to things that I do in my everyday life, or something that I know I cannot live without or I need. And I take that and I go, well, I don't forget, I'm a big dude. I love food. I ain't gonna lie. I don't forget food. And if I can relate something, I can remember something food to, or something I do every day in my daily life and just apply it to the fire service. It works for me. So I figured, something funny, comical, you'll never forget that. To this day, you won't forget it. And that's all. I learned that way. I had some great instructors, like I've said before. Everything I've learned from somebody had their little way of having me remember it. And I don't like acronyms. I mean, like what I say, that kind of thing. And it was always impressionable on me. I never forgot it. I always remembered it. So that's just, like I said, it's a weird style of teaching. Some people don't really gravitate to it, but a good majority do. They really dig it. And I don't want to change me. I don't want to change what I do. I feel people are learning. If you don't, hey, it's all right. Maybe it's not your style, but that's 1 out of 50, 1 out of 60, 1 out of 70 or 80 or more. There's always that one person that just feels uncomfortable, and that's okay. I'm not about it, but I ain't changing me. No way. I'm not. I can't do it. I thought about it a couple times. I have to, definitely curve my language from time to time during where I'm at and what I'm doing, which is definitely easy. I can do it. I'm an adult, right? But I can't emphasize, I can't deliver my passion any other way than when I'm in that mode. How I feel. You understand my direction of where I want this class to go or this objective to go. And so I say a few choice words, but you get it. You get it.
Yeah. Well, another thing, your teaching style, one of the things I really, really like, and I haven't seen too many like this, honestly, is it's almost like when you're giving a class, it's like a company training, even though it's, different people from different departments and you're the instructor, you're very comfortable. You make everything super relatable to all of us. I mean, you came down there and you had no idea what level of skill we had, if any, but your instructor style, you just you're real mellow, you're patient, funny. And then, like I said, to this day, they still talk about that class. Now, who are you teaching with? Who are you teaching for at that time? It was Arthur Ashley.
I was just under Arthur. I started to get mainstream with Arthur. It was one of those things where he had it was a Facebook group, Truckee Talk. It still existed, it's still in existence. It's still up and running, but it was kind of like his crew and his guys. He started to cherry pick, and he picked up a lot of steam, and away we went. It's just kind of how that went. And it was at that time, I think it was Arthur, Ty, Josh Webb from Louisville, myself, and Ron Smith.
Ron Smith.
Yep. So it's 5 of us.
Now, is he in Evansville? Is he an Evansville firefighter?
Who, Ron Smith?
Or Gary?
Gary, Indiana.
Gary, that's what I'm thinking of. Gary, Indiana.
Yes.
He does the training seconds, right?
Seconds, absolutely. He has to be one of the funniest guys I've ever met, and definitely somebody I look up to. And if I have a question, I'm lost, I'll definitely look to all those guys. I still to this day bounce questions off of Josh Webb. I talked to Arthur, Ty. I talked to a lot. Ron Smith. Actually, we're teaching not this weekend. We're going to be in Oath Keepers this weekend out in Ohio.
Yeah.
And then the following weekend, I'm going to be in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm going to stop and do a little thing at the brewery, a little Fools meeting in the Heart of Texas Fools, which is in Dallas on the 14th. Do my little thing there, and then hop back on the road and teach Saturday, Sunday in Fort Worth.
So following you on Facebook, you seem like you're pretty busy.
Yeah, I've been actually, surprisingly enough, I haven't really been too hard on social media. People might catch me in a picture. I've kind of took a step back. When all COVID hit, I was kind of relieved a little bit because I gotta hit a reset button. I think I was taking on too much, and family life, it's tough. Being an instructor, I think, that's one of the main things somebody's always asked was, man, Mike, I want to be an instructor. I want to teach, and I'm all for it. I would love you to teach. There's so many good people out there with so much good information, small, large department. It doesn't matter. You have something to offer. And the only thing I caution people about is when you teach and when you're an instructor and you do a lot of traveling, it takes a toll on family life. I mean, you're young, if you're young, you got nothing going on, that's the time to do it, to be honest with you. But man, I have to admit, I think my oldest, he's 15 now, Alex, he definitely paid the price. I feel like I missed a lot. It's a regret as a father. It's something I definitely wish I could take back, maybe not be as busy as much. But all in all, he's grown up. He's definitely touched. But it is what it is. I kind of work with him as much as I can. But that's the hardest thing. I think if somebody wants to get on this path, you would say per se, definitely look at family life. It takes a toll. It's a lot out of you. And I don't know. Another friend of mine, Dustin Martinez, I hate to name drop everybody I know, but they just bring good parts. All these people, everyone around me, all my friends, everyone I look up to, they're like a guiding light. They always have something good to offer, and they always give you little excellent nuggets to take away. And I remember taking something away from him saying that, Mike, if you're traveling so much, who's teaching your guys back home? And I'm like, damn, dude. I mean, that's a good point. Shit. So I thought, maybe hit it hard at home, start doing some stuff back here. And that's what I started doing, especially when COVID hit. Took a step back. I did a lot of online stuff, podcasts, talking, taking questions. I felt like that was a lot more out of it. I got a lot more out of it.
Yeah.
But like I said, it takes a toll. And I was off social media for a while. I'm kind of on it here and there just to look and see what the boys are doing here and there. But, there's still a lot of those gigantic conferences going on that are really cool. But I'm always at my few I'm very loyal to for the most part.
There's a lot of micro conferences right now.
They're all over they're popping all over the place. And I have a special place in my heart for anywhere in Texas. I just can't help it. I don't know what it is. I love those guys down there. They're fantastic. Everyone's a fantastic fireman, but Texas just has something on my, I'm attached to it for some reason. I don't know. My very first time I've ever spoke in front of a large crowd was in Louisville, Texas. And I did it on right after my buddy passed away, Atlanta duty death, April. It was their April Fools, their first Fools conference they had in the heart of Texas. I gave a speech out there. After that, I just fell in love with Texas. Ever since, I'm addicted.
Yeah. I used to live there. I didn't live. So I lived right on the edge of Oklahoma and Texas. So I always described it. If you look where I live, though, if you describe the United States as a human body, Wichita Falls was the asshole. Now, once I got to Dallas, Fort Worth, Waco, San Angelo, beautiful. Jasper, Texas, beautiful. Yeah. They picked when I joined the military, they give you a sheet of paper and says you pick where you want to go. So I was a firefighter in the Air Force. I could go to any base. So I picked Florida and I picked one in California. I guess they split the difference and stuck me in Texas.
You're not getting either one.
Yeah, I didn't get either one. So you're a Chicago firefighter. Tell me about, your department and where you fit in with it.
Oh, that's a loaded question.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't want to lie and say that was like my dream, I always wished to be a Chicago fireman. That's not exactly how that all came about. I basically, I just wanted to be a fireman somewhere and do the job, right? That's just what I wanted to do. And I took the test early on in 2006, got lucky, got a great number. It's a random number they pick, and boom, here I am. It was weird when I put on my my uniform, when you get the full uniform and you're about to get your badge. It hit me for like a few minutes. It's like, wow, this is real. Like I'm a Chicago fireman. My dad's a Chicago police officer at the time. It was kind of nice. We all worked where we lived. It was kind of a big deal for me, per se, because that, he always worked in the area pretty close by where I'm at now. And it was special. It was different. And that's, I asked the candidates the same thing, and I question it now is, I asked, how much do you love the job when you got on? I tell them to remember this moment. And everyone is like, oh, I love it. I love being a Chicago Fire. I love being there. It's a great show. I love it. It is. But I want you to check yourself every couple of years. So after 5, how do you feel? How was everything? Do you still love it as much as you loved it when you started day 1? Then I want you to check it again in 10. Check it again in 10. Tell me how you feel. What are your insights about it. Are you still like hardcore, all for the core? It's for the fire department. I'll do anything, I'll bleed red. Like, is this where you at? Now 20 years hits. And then finally that last day when you walk out, do you still love the job from the day you started to the day you end it? Is it the same? And what has changed? Have you fallen out of love? Has love been one of those tough relationships? Is it tricky? And I'm literally playing with that same thought too. It's hard to say, like, I wanted to just, rot there. I want to do my full 30 plus years and go until I can't go anymore, until they chase me out. With events and how things are going and life, man, it's questionable. Like if I want to do 20, 25, just not something I'm, thrilled about anymore. Like love relationship, it's different. I mean, it's a great job. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle, right? You're living it, you're breathing it. And if your lifestyle is not in tune with how you envisioned it, man, you got some problems. You're going to have a hard time. But like I said, I love it. I fit in well, I think. I mean, every once in a while, like stuff like this and teaching everywhere, you always have the naysayers. They're going to be everywhere. The people that don't clap behind your back, because they're always that low hanging fruit. They're going to grab you and go, let's pick on this guy. He's all everywhere. He thinks he's tough shit. That's not it.
Yeah.
I just, there's a lot of people that hate. There are a lot. And it's hard to combat that because once rumors start and you start, making up these vicious things you say about people. And I hear it not just with me, I hear it with other people. It's like, do you even know the facts? Do we even know what the truth is? It drives me up the wall. We're the biggest drama queens, man.
Yeah.
Dude, we are like high school girls, like just fighting, bickering with one another. He's my boyfriend, it's like you guys are brutal. Like we're supposed to be a brotherhood, we're like, come on, we're not acting like it, Why do you have to say these things about individuals? And so it's become more of a high school saga for me. I mean, I just, I don't treat it as like I'm just showing up, punching the clock. I don't treat it like that. It's not that bad. But it is a new adventure, especially with the times. Man, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy, dude. It's definitely a different way of life. Definitely.
So you said a couple things there, like I always think about I've fallen out of love with the job, back in love with the job. Overall, I'm happy with the job. Anytime I fell out of love with the job, it's usually something I fucked up, right? It's something that I started feeling entitled. My ego started creeping in. But I remember I have like a little touchstone thing that I always go back to. And when I got hired on at Lexington, Kentucky, you probably can't tell I've got an accent. I used to iron my uniform every single night. Every night, shine my shoes every night before I'd go to work, and I'd hang it up on a certain door and I would sit down on the couch for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it was, and just stare at it because I felt like I won the lottery. I won the lottery again today, and then the next day and the next day. So whenever I start, kind of veering off, I try to remember how that felt because at that time I was probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years into it to the fire service total. I started off in the military, and so that's what I like to go through. And then when I made battalion chief, I was part of the process of hiring. So when you've got 2 spots and you've got 150 people per spot trying to get on, and you see how hard they're pulling the hose or they're doing whatever physical agility test, because that's all they want. That's another thing that kind of takes me right back to, you got the greatest job in the world. You really, really do. Interviews are another one. When you see people that, they've tried 9 times to get on the department, and that's all they want. All I've ever wanted to be is a fireman. Like, well, Zach Woodard, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Zach is Zach. He's one of the best firefighters I think I've ever met. Most positive, upbeat guy I've ever met.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I've met anybody like him, but all he ever wanted to be was a New Albany firefighter like his father. Yeah. That's all he ever wanted to be. And we're the better for it. I mean, he's not on that bell curve. He's like the white noise on each end. He's next level, but fantastic guy.
I love that kid. He's awesome. Absolutely love that kid.
Oh yeah. It's exciting to watch his career kind of go. I got him and Aaron are teaching next week for me. They're teaching some hose. Oh yeah. Great. And they work so well together too. Very well together.
Aaron's another good man.
Definitely. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's hard to stop, man. He really is hard to stop. He he just goes and goes and goes. We just taught together an SCBA confidence course, and it was a trailer the state owned. And usually every year I do the SCBA confidence course, but this year I had him help me, and we had the trailer, and it was me and him would go through it without any classes or nothing. We would just start going through it and having fun and try to make things harder and easier than harder than easier. He's going to be another one. It's going to be interesting to watch his career, because I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be on the circuit. He's going to be a heavy hitter. I think him and Zach together.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice. Those are, you know what? I think I asked some of my senior guys at the Fools meetings, back in the day. I always ask the question, who's going to pick up the torch once other individuals are gone? And it's like, I don't see myself as that. I don't see myself as this torch holder. I don't. But I do think of people like who are going to come behind me, like, hey, can you keep this up? Can you keep doing this, with the same flair? And that's what brings me back down to back down to earth type of deal. If I'm having a bad day or whatever, or, just like, oh man, this just sucks by us. That's why I still do a lot of teaching, like locally, like at the colleges and things of that nature, because they're so impressionable. They're kids, they're young, they're ready to go, they're pumped. And, I'm not we have to do certain things with the book. And I call it the book of lies.
Because it's still talking about left hand and right hand searches.
Yeah, dude, that book does nothing. I mean, he gets a base coat, like a really light, shitty base coat, but it doesn't really. It literally setting up all these young guys for failure. You're literally, from the evolutions to how the fires and where we're going and how we do this and how many people in a group. That's not reality. Everyone's getting out. You got 3 guys in a company. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. How I teach. I always teach manpower friendly. I never ever teach what we have, because it's not fair. It truly isn't. Nobody has the manpower like this. I mean, huge, large cities do. Even some of them are, half fan between maybe 4 guys, but we're 5 and 6 on the rigs. It's crazy, like, how do you teach a group of guys? And you take the book and it says, it takes, 3 people to throw this ladder, or 4 people on a hose line. Like there's departments you only got 2 people on an engine. Mm-hmm. Maybe 1 driving the truck to the scene, and it's there in case that ambo from the jump company comes out and sets it up. Like, this is reality. I like to teach reality. I don't like to teach this fake narrative the book of lies does, because it's literally all they're doing is setting up these guys for failure. It gives them a base code to understand the knowledge, some of the backgrounds behind it. Mm-hmm. When I teach it, I'm like, they didn't teach you about soffits and fascias. They don't teach you about that. There's nothing, there's better ways of throwing ladders. There's definitely better ways of advancing hose lines. Like, man, I wish they took, like, I love the way Aaron Fields does his hose lines. Like, that, I've seen a lot of people move hose, and his style, hands down, is probably the best. The communication skills, holy cow! Even for a simpleton truck guy like myself,
you're a truckie talking about moving hose. So
it was a great class. Like, I'm really impressed, and it's stuff like that needs to be in the books. You know what I mean? We need to change a few things. So maybe one day they'll come to realization, but I highly doubt it. Unfortunately.
Well, it's funny, the technology and the science, like UL NIST and UL FSRI. They've changed the game. They've absolutely changed the game, and the books do not reflect the modern fire service even a little bit.
No, it's one of those things, and everyone has their narrative on how everything, how science is involved, and got flow path and all this other stuff. Like I said, I stick with, I like to call it senior guys. I like their science. These guys have been doing this job a lot longer than I ever have. They've been doing it. And there's guys before them that have been doing it a lot longer. Nothing's really changed. It still burns really hot. It's still really shitty. There's a couple different variations of what's burning. I get this. I understand that. But in all actuality, it's really hasn't. A lot of things have been trying to knock out of the park. You see a lot of people trying to reinvent the wheel on how to put these fires out. There's not much. It's how about we just take what we have and make it easier and faster to do? Let's just become very good at the basics. It blows my mind. We're teaching weird shit out there, and it's like, what, why? Like, what are we doing? You're wasting so much time on a skill that's, you're going to use once in your lifetime, maybe. I'm not saying it's not important to learn, but come on, like, how would you get really good at getting that first line at the seat of the fire? Who were really good at that,
Absolutely. And that's what I like about these micro conferences is they teach that. They teach we got to get water on the fire as quick as we can. We got to coordinate ventilation. We got to do all that stuff. Now, what was I about to say? There are, okay, so I might aggravate you. I may aggravate some people listening. There's a couple of things when you go to conferences I've noticed, or certain trainings outside your own. I've seen certain things that I call, they're like magic tricks. They're stuff that's not really real. They look cool, but and one of them is the baseball bat swing with the Halligan. I've always had trouble with that, and because wood frame, and usually a corrugated cardboard door, you really don't need to kick it open. But anyway, that and the Wichita lean, those two things, I'm like, you'll just never need that. I mean, maybe it's cool to learn, but if you focus on your basics, you won't need those little tricks, those little magic tricks. But that's my opinion. I've had a lot of people tell me different. They're like, "Oh, a torque box is a torque box." Okay, I get that, but
I have to admit, I've used the Wichita lean a bunch.
What?
The only reason why is, and I have taught it a lot too, the fact that we don't have mid-mount towers, and to get that negative and to get that sweeping distance, not to take any of the flies out of a base section of a main, that's a game changer. It truly is. At least side to side. I'm not so worried about front and back, but definitely side to side. I was just out of an apartment down here in Illinois, downstate, and they wanted to see it. So we taught it, and I did it, and it was a game changer. But there was one guy who was talking about, he's like, man, I've been trying to talk to these guys for like 3 years about this technique, right? If I don't show or do or say anything, if I've never done it or applied it in the field, like if I don't, I'm not going to teach it. Like I just don't. I don't find out. I mean, I know there's certain classes that we've done, I've been a part of. There's quite a few, and it's like they just want to do it, So like the Wichita lean's one of those things. Like I think it's for me, when I was on a tower, I'm not on a tower anymore. That was a sweet method. It's different because people aren't educated. I think our department, that's one of our flaws, is that we only feel like what's inside of our perimeter. There's nothing else out there, right? If we never seen it, or everyone on our job has never seen this method, and I don't care what a manufacturer that peer says that you can do it, they actually promote it. It doesn't exist. You can't do it. It's bad stuff. You're doing something wrong. You're a piece of shit. Like, I don't like that. That's stigmatism. Would that be a good word? On that, when it's bringing some other information outside that you've never done before, and you're already labeled like, oh, that's stupid. Who the fuck says you can do that? Come on. It's legit. It works, right? And until you actually seen it, and then you get some proof and some facts and some science behind it, it's a legit move. When I learned that move, man, I was blown away. Like I honestly thought, I was like, no way.
But you've actually used it. You've actually used it.
I have. It's a nice technique. It's not all the time. This isn't like step A, I'm going to do this right now. But there was some times like, man, we should have done that. Like that would have been a good place for that application, right? Other times it's like it works or it doesn't. But it's there, right? I know I'm educated. I know how to do something. If I don't use it, but man, I was set up and ready to go.
So now the people listening that don't know what the Wichita lean is, could you give us a little class on that?
So obviously the name comes from where it's at, Wichita, Kansas, right? Came from Sammy Hiddle. Sure, others over there, but I learned it from Sammy Hiddle. That's where I learned it from. Never met the man before, and then we became good friends when we finally taught together. And I talk to him all the time, right? I could call him on the phone right now and be like, dude, what's up? But I learned, so Wichita lean is basically, try to sum this up and not rape it too bad. Rear mount towers, that's where it's most important. Basically, you want to be able to, let's say you have a storefront, you want to be able to set your basket down on the ground and scrub low and point your monitor up into the ceiling, right? Well, you would have to usually back, almost double that space just to get that main all the way extended touching the ground, right? So now you're just literally tilting one side, the fire side all the way down, the other side all the way up. So it's on an angle. It's a lean. Swing that over. It's very unnatural. Certain rigs you have to override. You swing it over, and that thing's on the ground and not extending any of the fly sections of the main. So you just, it's still bedded, 43 feet, 42 feet roughly is out of the basket. And I don't have to move. I don't have to extend, and I'm on the ground. It's a nice tactic, real nice tactic. It has to be seen. Pierce, it's on Pierce's website. You can YouTube it. It's called like the negative something. I don't remember the name. Shame on me, but I know it is the Wichita Lean. Pierce, some smart people at Pierce are like, we need to run the numbers on this. Can we do it? Well, you can. And they proved it. And their engineers are like, oh yeah, firemen are smart. They got us. They figured it out before we did. So if you are in the name of a game of buying the tower, doing this, if you still have a rear mount, this is a good tactic. But now everybody's got mid mounts. Man, those are sexy. Oh, those Pierce. Oh my God. So sexy. Small footprint. Just an amazing. You don't have to do that now. There's no need for a Wichita Lean. That thing is on the ground right out of the basket, out of the cradle. It's absolutely phenomenal rig. Don't buy the one with the pump and everything, because then it extends it super long and kind of defeating the purpose of a small footprint, you know.
Yeah.
But at least the height's perfect. I mean, for us, that's good. We don't own one. We should own them. We shouldn't have rear mounts. We should have mid mounts because we have these weird things. It's crazy. They're called viaducts. So weird. They're not that tall, shockingly. And everything's just under 11.8, and our towers are 11.9. We got some thinkers by us, you know. Hopefully, this is something I recommend to everybody. This is kind of like a kind of important from a fireman standpoint, the end user, right? Instead of having our administrations pick for us based off of the people who fix our rigs and the people who basically maintenance our rigs and the upper echelon who think what's better for us end users, put in your contract. When you go and negotiate and you go for contract stuff, put that in a contract where us, the end users, have the final say on equipment, rigs, and how things work. That's it. No more having other people pick for what we need. We pick what we want.
Right.
That makes us a lot happier. We get the equipment we want that works best for us. You know, have committees. There are departments that do this. We aren't really good at that. I'll be honest. We're kind of ashamed that we don't do that really well.
I'm really surprised because it's such a big department. I figured having those kind of committees were
they tease us. They tease us. They tease us. They say, oh, well, I'm giving you this leeway and here's the stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm going to change it when we're all said and done. Yeah, behind the curtains, we're going to do a little magic trick. So, like I said, that is something where I definitely, hopefully, when our union goes for a contract, that's something that's on the platter. That's going to be a game changer for us end users. And I know it keeps guys happy because then we can buy the rigs we like. You know what I mean? It just makes us a little bit, a little more comfortable using our equipment. Dream. I don't know.
Let me switch gears on you real quick. Tell me about the nerds, your nerds class.
I haven't done that in a while, to be honest with you. I think I did it like 4 or 5 times. I wanted to change it up a little bit, but it was basically, how did Tim Kleiss say it? I'm kind of like your hype man before the main stage comes up, like I get you riled up and then you're already pumped. You don't know what's going on. You don't know if you're mad or you hate me, you love me, but you're pumped. You're so pumped to be there. And whoever gives the next presentation steals the goal, It's more of the nerds is more of I don't know. Do you have a term for a guy who's really into the job by you? So I've heard the word buffs, fire fan, nerd. We call guys nerds by us, but those are the guys who are really into the job. I think we are. I'm one of them. I'm a nerd. I think you're a nerd because you really love this stuff. It's beyond just leaving out and I go home and I'm done, right? Clock out. It goes a little bit further than that. And I think that obsession, I call it, for me, it's kind of an obsession. People can think I'm weird or whatever. I don't care. But I feel like something so dynamic that could kill you, get you hurt, screw up some of your friends, and or worse, God forbid, anything like that happens, but something that can really mess you up, I might want to know the game. I want to know my enemy as best I possibly can. And I feel like if I don't shut off, that's okay for me. Other people need that shut off. Some people don't like that. And that's fine. Totally off of them. But I feel like, us, the one percenters per se, the guys who are in the chapters, the guys that are taking a little bit further, taking the classes, going on further, they still have that itch and that drive to go, man, I want to be able to give more, in case they don't know how to do so. I want to be able to do that. Like, hey, somebody might know how to do the Wichita lean and apply it one day at a fire, and boom, game changer, right? You want to be like that. You know what I mean? That's just me. Like I said, it's kind of just me. So that nerds program was just a PowerPoint of saying it's okay to be a nerd. That's all. It's okay,
to be in the job.
That's it. Yeah. Why? I don't get it. And I was saying this, I'll have to give myself a little credit. I think I was saying it a lot before. A lot of other individuals were always saying, it's okay to love the job. I think I was onto something a long time ago, and whatever. I don't care. I'm not saying that, one person has it over the other, but I definitely was saying it for quite some time in my own little way. It's all right. You can love this shit. It's always here to pick on you. You should be proud. You should be absolutely proud to talk about it and to say that I'm going to this place or how I feel, and not have somebody, I'll take an example. There was an individual, they gave him shit, right? He's coming on the job as a paramedic. So he just rode the ambulance. He wrote something on social media saying how proud he was to go to this ambulance. How pumped he was to go there. And we had people, upper echelons on their side of the world, saying that was wrong. They're chastising him. And I go, this kid is pumped to go to one of the busiest ambulance, or the busiest ambulance in the city, the roughest, the shittiest. And you're already taking the flame out of this kid. You're already showing them the way of how to be, how to hate this job. Why would you do that? Like, that blows my mind. Why would you do that to people? If they have a dream, they have a session, I think they should have embraced it. They should have said, look at this guy. He's a psychopath, Place. This kid should be praised. Make him a chief. Fuck it. He's a great kid. But they shamed him. They threatened him with punishment. And he didn't say anything vulgar, anything embarrassing. He just said how much he could not wait to be on this ambulance and how pumped up he was. Blew my mind. Another nerd, and you're already putting them in that mindset. You're already showing them the true colors of this job. It's very depressing.
It's funny you should say that. I've noticed in my time, 29 years, it was you took a lot of pride in your work, and I've noticed a transition now. I actually know people that go to conferences, spend their own money, use their own time, and they get bashed on by guys we work with, and they come up with the dumbest reasons why. I can't help but think, and of course I don't have any hard data for this, but my opinion is that people like that are holding a mirror up to all the duds on the department. They're like looking like, wow, I'm not training that hard. I'm not working as hard as this guy. I'm not out there in my gear in the middle of the day, just practicing in the, in my bay. And I think that's what it is that people that they get busted on because they're just holding a mirror up to what you should be doing.
Yeah. And I tell people, look, God's honest truth isn't like I'm out every day walking, throwing ladders and doing all this stuff. It's not every day. I do enjoy sleeping on the couch. I do like doing nothing at the firehouse sometimes. Like, I'm not a liar. I'm not gonna lie to anybody, but that's just the truth. Like, there are days where I have other stuff going on. I have other things I do in my life, right? I have school I'm going back to. All of us have to have 2 or 3 side jobs because to some. So there are other things that I'm doing that, I'm not doing fireman stuff. I do take a break. I do shut off, but we do get in the conversations of like, oh yeah, you remember that? Or then we'll talk about fires, where we're at, or just fire, problems we're having in our department. And that brings back a flame and we get back into it. Right. But it's not like, I don't take my breaks. Like, geez, I'm not 100% all day long. That's a lie.
Right.
I want to make sure people understand that. Like, not everybody's like that, but I do turn on really fast. You want to talk about it? Let's get into it. You want to do it? We're going to do it. This is happening. But I take a break. I'm not a complete psychopath.
You're not up in the middle of the night throwing ladders and doing VES in your own tower and everything.
Definitely not that crazy. Trust me. As much as it's fun, I would like to see the fire service go in a different way, definitely with training, because training is just rough, meaning I don't know how to make it any more realistic. I feel like it's one of those things like, man, there was a program out there and I liked it. It just needs to be studied and it really needs to be monitored. And I don't know who's going to do it, but to make it as realistic as possible, you need to like the Georgia smoke divers, for my buddies that have gone through it, they kind of have what I want to do, but they just focus on one thing, right? They focus on SCBAs. It's intense, right? No joke. That's a tough course. It's impressive. But what they do, what I've heard, is that they break you down physically, like break you down. You're exhausted. Fatigue is definitely set in. Now we start to do evolutions. Now we start to do what we should be doing as firemen, right? And I like that. I want to somehow correlate. I want to make that real in our training, because I know it sounds nuts, but nothing shows how well you're training and how well your training is with muscle memory, how often you do it and how good you actually are at your job when you have nothing left in you. All you have is just, maybe a couple minutes more of energy. You're exhausted, your brain, you're tired. You're like, I want to get out of here. And I got to throw that ladder. I have to do an effective rescue. I have to tie that knot. I have to throw some hose down a hallway. How do I do that? Does my brain remember how to do that? And that's kind of something I like to see training get at. Training's awesome. I love reps. That's the best way to learn. That's the best way to develop muscle memory, right? The military says it correct. You do something 10 times, you get pretty good at it. 100 times, it becomes muscle memory. That's what I want you to be. After that, man, it's almost like you're breathing. You don't know you're breathing, right? That's the level that we all should be at, right?
Right.
I'd like to see training kind of turned up a little bit, but it scares people. People are like, oh, I'm just here to do it, whatever. It kind of sucks because it takes the wind out of your sails when they're not into it as much as you are,
Yes. I did a podcast last night with Nick Peppard and we were talking about the same thing. And I've never understood how people can have the opinion of they don't need to train and they don't need to work out, exercise. They don't need to take their job seriously when they're at the firehouse. I've had somebody tell me that they weren't into the job. They flat out said they weren't into the job. And I'm like, I just, to me, it blows my mind. I mean, I kind of understand it, in the sense of, yeah, I mean, if somebody paid me a lot of money to sit on the couch and watch TV all day, yeah, I would do it. I understand it. I don't like it. I don't think it's right. I've done it. I've had my shit time in the fire department, but I just can't fathom people taking our job so recklessly, like if you're out of shape, if you don't train, if you think you can go to the firehouse and sit, and then when the bell rings, you're going to go to work, it just doesn't work that well. And just because the fire goes out and the people are pulled out of the building safely doesn't mean you're operating on all cylinders. Yeah, hell, D's a passing. You can pass with a D.
Absolutely.
So, why should we should all be shooting for that A+. But that's my humble opinion.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. And like I said, we're not always doing it. Like, we do need breaks. You know what I mean? Like, there are days you just want to chill out, relax with the boys, relax, have a good time, watch a couple flicks, and get a couple runs, maybe a fire. That's a good day.
Yeah.
Every day. There are the days, come on, God rested on the 7th, so I'll rest on the 7th as well.
There you go. So let me ask you something. Chicago is, one of those departments firefighters always look up to, right? And I got very, very lucky to help teach a class with Peter Van Dorp, and I've had him on here, and I brought you up to him, and he had nothing but kind words to say to you.
I love Chief Pete Van Dorp. I have to admit, he was definitely someone I looked up to. Definitely, we had a touching moment a long time ago when my buddy first died, Corey Acom. That's a story for another day. But After that, he became the director, or he was in charge of the academy, so the director of the academy down at the Quinn. I got a phone call from him once saying, "Hey, Mike, I want you to come down and teach at the Chicago Fire Academy." And I'm like, "Dude, are you fucking like?" To me, I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like, this is a dream come true. Like, there's no way this is possible, you know?" So I thought, like, this can't be, you know. Why are you calling me, Chief? There's no way. Like, I'm a 5-year guy. Maybe I think I had maybe like 6 or 7 years on, maybe at the time. And I'm like, Chief, they're gonna laugh me out of here. Like, there is nobody in the Chicago Fire Academy that's gonna listen to anything I have to say to anybody. There's no way. And he's like, Mike, I know your skills. I know who you are. I know where you come from. I know how everything's working, and I know your capabilities. So I want you down here. I think you have so much to offer. When he said that, I was like, sir, yes, sir. Like, I'm in. Bought and sold. Like, I couldn't wait to teach with him, you know, teach for him. And the way he let us free reign, he educated me on things. He educated me on, you know, some big things like line items in the academy, how money works, how people are moved around, how, you know, the UL studies were moving around, just the man is a wealth of knowledge. He blows me away. Every time I see him, I got to give him a hug, and I always an instant smile on my face. He is definitely someone I have been absolutely blessed with, people that have taught me on my way, mentors, educators, people that saw something in me I don't think I've ever saw in myself. He's one of them, and I absolutely have nothing ever bad to say about him, ever. Bad's not even in my vocabulary to describe that man. That man is definitely above and all. He is. I look at him as a nerd because he is someone I can, you know, I saw him on YouTube. He had about building construction codes and how he wanted to get things changed. And this is at Congress. I mean, this is the level of Congress. He's talking, and to see him, man, I was so pumped. Like, I could not tell. It's like you watching, or somebody watching their favorite sports team winning, you know, some kind of championship. So that me watching him, I'm like, dude, this is so awesome. I'm so pumped right now. I was just out of my mind, out of control. Just words cannot describe how cool it was to see this man just staying in front of these people and to put them not in their place. I hate to say that. That's very negative, but to have them understand where we're coming from. Unreal. I met so many kind people from him. I've met John Ciarello, George Healy from New York, those two guys. Without that relationship, that networking, I don't think I wouldn't have got really far without him, especially in my teaching career, definitely at the academy. Because he, when he left and he retired, he put in the word for me to go teach. He's like, Mike, you got to come down here and teach candidates. I said, oh boy. And it was very different for me, but he's like, when I make the call to whoever the next boss is going to be down there, they're going to call you. You go down for me. I go, for you, anything, whatever you want, I'll do it. And sure as shit, a gentleman named Billy Volt called, said, hey, Van Dorp wants you down here teaching. You want to come down here for him? Absolutely. I'll be there in a heartbeat. You can count on me. Otherwise, I would never go down there. If you don't, I don't want to, I never requested to go down there. I've always to be asked. And for someone like that to ask me to come down, especially someone like Pete Van Dorp, I was astonished. Absolutely. And I visit him once in a while at Algonquin Lake in the Hills as your chief. Shame on me. I don't know where he's at. I think he's still there. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him time. Yeah, I haven't talked to him quite some time. Shame on me. Actually sent me a message about a class he wanted me to kind of blast out there, and I didn't do a really great job. I kind of feel bad about it. But yeah, Van Dorp is a phenomenal guy. I really don't have not enough words to say for him. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, he is. He absolutely is. And I got to teach a basement fire class and had him and Tony, had a bunch of great guys, don't get me wrong, but him, Tony Carroll, Forrest Reeder. And I'm like, who am I?
Yeah. I trust me, when you get a group of guys like that, or I remember telling a class I was teaching for the candidates officer class. I was just assisting at the time, but I was in awe. I'm surrounded by these guys and they're arguing, like full on arguing how to attack a fire. You had a Chief Witt, John Hojak, Mo Rodriguez, who else was there? John Leonard. I think Van Dorp was there in the background. He didn't catch the full conversation. But what I'm trying to say is to see these guys argue about whose tactics are better. Man, it's like watching this. I'm trying to think of something that can put in, spectrum of how epic this was. Like, whoa, these people we look up to, we take their tactics and they're arguing about something. They don't agree with one another. Man, it was a really cool time. Stuff like that. And like I drag somebody in and I go, dude, I'm watching this. You see what's going on here? This is awesome. Like I was filling bottles. I think that's what I was doing, filling bottles. I go, hey, I need help filling bottles. You gotta see what's going on in here. It was great. So stuff like that, like I said, I have been absolutely the most luckiest person when it comes down to having people in my life that I got to learn from, short or long, working with, side by side, teaching with. Blows my mind. I can't believe it. I honestly cannot believe when I had my mentor, when I came on this lifelong career that I love so much. My mentor, my very first mentor that got me this far, Anthony Volpe. I never thought that, starting off with him, I would be here. Like there's just no way. I absolutely could not believe it. And man, it was, especially the very first time I taught for FDIC. It was challenge coin. They gave you a challenge coin there as instructors, and a number, and it was my buddy's number. It was his badge number when he passed away, Anthony Volpe, the guy that brought me up. It's told me about FDIC, how cool it was, and you got to do this. And he always like, Mike, you better take this class. Don't worry about it. It's important. One day you'll need it. And sure as shit, this man was never wrong. Never wrong. I mean, this man was on everything he said to me came true and it worked, right? Even when I got on the city, from having a black pen in my pocket, from wearing a wristwatch, like everything he said to me, spot on. I made it through that because of him. And, sad to say he got destroyed by that shitty cancer shit. So, I'm definitely was blessed because I was on a roll. I gotten some great people I've learned from, and man, am I humble for it.
Well, you're passing it on too. I mean, you're doing probably what they wanted you to do.
I'm hoping.
Huh?
I'm hoping. I'm hoping I don't let anybody down. Like, honestly, I think that's the one thing I can definitely say about myself is that I'm loyal and I definitely give back whatever was given to me. There's no way that and it's not people might say it's like, oh, you're name dropping, or it's not name dropping. It's giving credit where credit's due.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I didn't start this stuff. This isn't my idea. Right. This isn't something I woke up and, I'm going to do this. This is a great thing. And I'm going to teach. I'm going to preach it across the world. That's not how that worked. There are some interesting things that are definitely, I get to call my own, which I'm definitely proud of. And I'm glad that other people are seeing it and passing it on, which is really awesome.
Like the Halyard.
The Halyard's one. There's many others though. There's many others. There are many others. But I look at it and I go, shit, I said that. That's crazy. And man, it definitely feels good. It definitely feels good. It feels good.
Like I said, I started this out with, you affected a lot of people where I'm at to this day. They do what you taught them, and they talk about you with high regard. And then I've actually seen people teach. I've seen Zach Woodard teach your Halyard to other people. I have. And to me, that's perfect. That's a perfect example of fire instructor, right? You taught a specific thing, a specific way to a specific group of people, and it's still being carried on and on and on. It's a legacy. You're a hell of an instructor.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Thank you. I never thought to ever hear the word legacy with the name of mine.
Yeah.
But definitely I appreciate it. That's crazy. Like I said, all I want to do is just all it was just passing something on. That's what it's supposed to be, right? That's the job. It's for Zach and everyone else to take that and keep going. Eventually I want to stop,
Can you?
I think I can. I'm trying to find other what do you call it? not other passions, but other addictions, probably, to get my, to peel back and go, you know what? It's time to let go, Mike. It's time to let go. And, what's going to be surprising is, I'm always interested. He does the Magic City truck classes.
Mhm.
I did a couple podcasts on Fire Magazine with him, and it was a great time. I'm super honored to have him ask me to do them. But he is coming up with he might be the guy that changes the ladders in the fire service. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Coming out with the types of ladders that we don't just have the two types, right? The two manufacturers, I'm sorry. Dual safety and alkaline.
Yeah.
We're going to have maybe another competitor, something that's realistic for the end user.
Really?
And yeah, made by end users, and they have some, I don't want to take away his flame, but I don't want to talk too much about it, but look out. It's coming. He's gonna make a difference. And I'm really excited, because I'm wondering if, the way I teach and how to throw ladders, it's all about body dynamics, not to hurt yourself, easy, fast, simple. A lot of Arthur Ashley moves with it. That is embedded that into those ladders. We might have something there. Might have something. Wow. Maybe a standard. Who knows?
A spoiler. So this is like breaking news on my podcast then, huh?
Like I said, I feel bad. I hope I'm not doing anything wrong. I hope I'm not. I hope I don't ruin anything for you. I do apologize, OJ, if anybody hears this.
There's going to be 3 people. I got 3 loyal people. It's me, my wife, and some guy in Germany. So they'll listen to this. That's it.
No, like I said, it was just really exciting news. I know he's pushed it out here and there, and that if you follow people, you follow certain people, you go in the background, and now you look at how other people are doing things. And man, I push them. I want people like that. I want people that are, that are starting their training organization, or having small conferences. Push them hard. Get them to do what others are doing. Mimic them. What is that saying? Flattery is nothing. The most. What is that saying?
Impression's the most sincere form of flattery.
Yes, there it is. Thank you. It's basically mocking somebody, copying them, literally. Right. And man, that's Jesus. That's what it's designed to do. Like, I don't want. You don't have to staple my name on it, right? Or anybody's name on any program. Just do it, right? Now, you do have individuals out there that are a little weird about their stuff, right? They are out there, and it's okay. You have to respect that. Some of that stuff's their stuff per se, but man, if it's good information, people want it. You give it to the people, right? Just give it to them. Like it's fucking free information, right? You should be able to give it to everybody and never have an issue. But I have to respect people for what they wish and what they do and how they do things. But the real people that, the individuals that we look at and we look up to, or we're in that small knit group, we are, we don't give a shit. And it's always the same names that keep coming up. We don't give a fuck. Whatever you want to do, you want to share this, you want to borrow that. If I have information that you want and I have it, I'm going to give it to you. I don't care. I'll forward you emails till I run out of emails, right? Whatever you want. I'm here for you.
Here's what I see is, every now and then you got to train the trainer class, and you got other class. To me, in the fire service, every class should be a train the trainer. Everybody that you're teaching something to, they need to be able to teach it to somebody else. And if you come at it with that approach, maybe not academy people, maybe I don't know, that's a gray area. But once you get outside the academy, I think every class should be considered a train the trainer and almost presented in that way, because you want everybody to be able to pass on this knowledge.
There's a couple departments out there. I'm only speaking of the ones I know decent, not a ton about, but I know more than others. Mm-hmm. I know departments across this country, they do this, but Wichita, they have a truck school, right? They have a rescue school. You go to school for 2-3 weeks, whatever it is, and you have to accomplish these objectives, these goals. You have to be able to perform these tasks in order to be on these rigs. That's fucking cool. How cool is that? I look at it as like you're like that Navy SEAL, right? There's that buy-in, that's like, man, the honor I had to go through this program to be here. Other guys just put in for a rig and they get it, right?
Yes.
that work? I get it. I respect whatever seniority. I'm not going to get into that endless pool of shit, but I feel like how cool would that be? Even for me, if I wanted to go to an engine, I think I should have to go to an engine school.
Right.
How we do engine work, right? How this is done, right? Real tight, tough standards, and you become that elite, right? You become that Navy SEAL, that Marine Recon. You become that Ranger. How cool is that, right? I feel like you becoming that and saying you've gone through that, man, game changer. And whatever Wichita's doing, I think that's really cool. I feel like that's a definite buy-in. Like, yeah. So I went through that truck school. You didn't make it. I did. Right. That's a badge. Right.
That means something. It does.
That means a lot, man. That is something that definitely puts the flame under guys. Like that would push guys in the fire service, almost like a promotion, kind of. Right. Like, oh man, I got to study to be on this rig. Holy shit. I better know all these knots. I better know how to set up these systems. If I'm on a rescue squad, I should know how to throw these ladders and how to do this tactic. I should know my truck inside and out, engines. I should know tips, flow, water, or whatever the shit engine people do. You know what I mean? So I definitely think that's really cool. I think that's whatever they're doing there, kudos to them. Scott Kleinschmidt, Sammy Hiddle, Isaac Fraser's there now. There's so many good people there. It's like, oh, definitely that's something to be said for Wichita, their program at least. Other places have it. New York has a rescue school, things of that. I'd like to see something like that by us, type of deal. That'd be really cool. Definitely something, you earn it a little bit more. That's all.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned Isaac Fraser, and then earlier we talked about trying to make training more realistic. I was very fortunate in taking a class down here through our Fools chapter, his Street Smart Extrication. So
Awesome
I remember
class.
It was a fantastic class. So, but what I really liked about it is before we got started on cutting up the cars, he made us do push-ups and jumping jacks. Yeah. So our blood pressure is up a little bit. Our heart rate was up a little bit. It was a game changer. It was really a game changer. I was like, wow, it's a little bit harder to operate these tools or just hold these tools just because maybe you're breathing a little bit harder and all that. And I always thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And I try to incorporate some way of making all my training more and more realistic. But there's that wall though you hit, you hit a wall when it comes to training. How realistic can you make it? Now, before I let you go, I told you earlier, I needed to ask you some questions. And the question's coming up, right?
That's okay. We're all
Chicago. Now, they don't make a TV show called New Albany Fire, at least not yet, but they do make Chicago Fire. So how is that TV show perceived in your department?
You know what? I don't know. When it first started off, I think it was something really cool. Like, oh man, this show's out. It's about us. We got to watch it. I think, and this is speaking for me, like it's just speaking to me. It was a little bit, some things were a little bit too much. Like, oh, come on. You gotta, geez, if you watch it, like, oh, Jesus Christ, we don't do that. Like a little bit too much. Like some of the things were a little bit, it's the drama, right?
What about the masks? Can you get past the masks? The SCBA masks?
I can't get past what I did when I said enough is enough is when they were it's like I think episode 1, I shit you not. I think the main was going up to the roof. It sounded like you were going up a fucking roller coaster. Clink, 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 clink. I was like, shut it off. I'm done. But I have to admit, as however you think about the show, it brings a lot of attention to us in a good way.
Yeah.
I could say I'm proud of it. I have friends that are on it. I could say I'm proud of the show. I don't watch it. Nothing to do with that. I'm just proud what it's done for the city, right? It's a cool thing. It brings attention to us in a good way. Of course, you always have those people, the actors that some people drool over them. I have to tell you, they came to 2 incidents. Herbie Johnson and Corey Acom, not Corey Acom, Dan Capuano, my buddy passed. They sent their love and support. They shed tears just like we shed our tears. They felt like when we lost somebody, they lost somebody. They still to this day, I forgot the one actor's name, super cool guy. smaller guy. God, shame on me, I should know his name. He still does classes outside of here. Like he does fireman classes. Like
Really?
he is around, he rides, like he's into it. And I have to say those actors and actresses are absolutely second to none. They're phenomenal people. I love that. Like literally, they cry when we cry, and that touched me. Like that I don't care how whatever you say she could say about the show, that really touched me, and I had a whole different outlook on them as people. Right? I just thought actors are actors, right? I don't know any real actors, but meeting them and seeing their concern and their sorrow, their empathy, and like it blew me away. It absolutely blew me away. It's like they lost somebody personally. It's like, dude, this is a game changer, and that is what I take back from them for sure. The biggest thing for me for that show is that that means a lot to me. People can do whatever. Guys like acting, they like doing what do they call it? Casting in it. They like that. They get that stuff. That's cool.
Are we going to see Mikey Torres on there?
No, you will never see me on that show. Nothing against it. I think it's a great show.
On an engine pulling a line.
No, Chief Chigarotis. Those guys are phenomenal people. Another great person I've learned from and a pleasure to listen to. But no, yeah, that's not for me.
Now, do they operate that's a real firehouse?
Yes. So Engine 18. Yes, it's a real firehouse. It's a shit show. Like I went there one time to just visit. Like I went there just to. My kids used to go to Smith. I think it's like a school across the street, literally. And I decided to go over there and see a buddy of mine. I kind of feel bad for the guys in the house. They literally kick you out. You're sleeping in like tents and like this trailers while they're shooting. It's kind of a pain in the ass. I mean, they like it. They like that stuff. So, but it's a big orchestra event. Like it's always orchestrated. Like it's bigger than life. It's like, oh Jesus, that's too much. Too many people in and out. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to hear it. I don't like that stuff, but some people like that stuff.
Well, on the other side of the same coin, you got Backdraft. So there you go. It should even out.
Iconic film. Iconic.
There you go.
And it's a great movie, but yeah, it's one of those ones that we definitely brought up on. You're like, dude, should we watch it right now in the firehouse? Is this legit? I don't give a shit. It's the greatest. Like, how do you not call lines out and say you don't have the words? Who cares?
I was up there doing it. Did you ever pull that
out?
Oh
my God. And you'll catch us. It'd be guys when I was teaching the academy classes, they would say the lines all day in the academy. I'm like, guys, shut up. I can't laugh at it. Shut up. Sal is brutal for it, all day long. But yeah, that's definitely an iconic movie there for sure.
Oh yeah. That's how I became a firefighter, not because I love that movie so much. I did like the movie. Wasn't interested in being a fireman. Joined the military. They made me a fireman. And the only reason I put it down was because Backdraft was out. And then once I was in my first live burn, that was it. I was done. I was hooked. I was like, it's
a
awesome.
Drug.
Oh, yeah. It is. It totally is. It's a legal drug. I'm all for it.
Absolutely. I love it too. So.
Hey, brother, I appreciate you being on my podcast. It's always nice to catch up with you every now and then. I don't want it to be so far in between. I really, honestly, I think very highly of you as an instructor, and that's why I wanted you on here. I think that you set a bar that others should try to reach. I really do. And I know you don't think that. And I know you don't do well. Most people, firemen, don't do well.
I appreciate you, man. I really very, very humble, and I'm very appreciative of you even having me on here. Like I'm definitely always shocked when somebody asks me. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go on a podcast. And to me, it's like, oh my God, that's a big deal. Like for me, I mean, whatever. People can think what they want to think. I don't care, but it's a huge honor to be asked stuff like this. And I'm definitely humbled and definitely honored you asking me to come on here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you being on, sir.
No, thank you for having me always.
So today's podcast was sponsored by Fire Facilities, designers and manufacturers of realistic, built-to-last training structures and mobile units for 30 years. Make training count. Visit firefacilities.com for more information. Brother Mikey Torres, thank you for being on.
Oh, thank you for having me. Take care, okay, Jake?
You too, brother. Today's podcast was sponsored by Fire Facilities, designers and manufacturers of realistic, built-to-last training structures and mobile units for 30 years. Make training count. Visit firefacilities.com for more information.